All right, you are all set.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go out the front door, it's closer.
Okay.
Well, when I gave up on doggy jail, it was just feeling a little bit like it might rain.
Yeah, just a little bit. All righty, well, see you later.
Yeah.
Hi, Snooky.
All right.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Alan.
Hi, Phyllis. How are you?
I'm good.
You
So
had-
I did send the form off to Sue. She's gonna send it to the family, and then I did let Steven know. And we're gonna start working on that, getting things rolling.
Great, great. Do we know if it's going to be ashes
No,
or?
it's full. It's a full burial.
Okay. So anyway, as I say, Jeff Morash up at Prospect Hill
Yeah.
he's familiar with where we are and what we do and all that sort of thing.
So he's the one who will like process, like take care of everything.
Yeah, Jeff is, Jeff Morash is the one, he's the superintendent. So basically he's in charge of the grounds. He makes all the arrangements for the grounds and the other arrangements in the cemetery. And I forget how they dug the hole the last time, whether they brought in a piece of equipment or whatever, but Jeff would know that.
Okay, and is DPW the one doing the digging? Or Jeff's?
I think Jeff dug the hole because it was, again, that was a full burial and we didn't have the equipment to do the hole.
Okay.
So, and I don't remember what he brought over. I was over there at the time, but I have no idea what he brought over to dig the hole, but must have been a machine of some sort.
Okay. I guess we're waiting on a lot more.
Yeah, we should have 9 people.
There. Oh yeah, your sound's down.
Hi.
Hi. There we go. They can hear you. You can hear
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Let me know if there's anything else.
Had to go next door and get my technician.
Hey there. Hi, Lee. Well, wow, all the way from London.
Absolutely, Alan. And I've had a very nice meal with my son and his family. And let me just say, I am mellow.
You are
Mellow.
mellow? Oh,
Yes.
wow.
We had a few glasses of wine with dinner.
I see. I see. Hey, Stephen.
Okay, let me Let me note down. who's-
Hello.
Alan, Snooky, Bill,
Hardy.
There's Lee and Phyllis is the blue screen or the blue block on the,
right, she's town committee. Hello, Phyllis.
Hello.
Hi there.
so how's your weather in London?
A little crisp and cool today. Big odds are being taken on whether or not there'll be a white Christmas.
Yeah.
And the answer is no, of course not. It'll be 45 to 50 degrees.
No. It sounds like there's a lot of COVID going around over there.
There
So-
is, and it's gonna come your way fairly soon because us travelers carry it with us. In the case of England, we've got a conservative government,
Yeah.
the right-wing membership of which doesn't want any restrictions. Center and left are saying, hey, if we're gonna knock this thing back, we've gotta tell people not to congregate, we've gotta tell them to wear masks. And I don't think anything's gonna change. So right now, we're having a very good time with our family. They're vaccinated, we're vaccinated. The girls, my granddaughters, actually showed positive several months ago. And came out of it the other side with no after effects. So we think that everybody in our household is relatively immune,
Mhm.
relatively. We
Yeah.
can't-
Well, I guess that's all we can say for any of it, it's all relative. But
So I do get I&M and of course, Libby Gibson's town report came out today. And Nantucket's experiencing an upsurge. I see that Ken is here and
yeah, Nathan Porter and I see Art Prospero. So we just, we've got what, about another couple of minutes. So Ken?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I put you on the agenda right after the approval of the minutes, so you,
I appreciate that, and I will give a quick report.
great.
And I think I probably will want to see a little bit of what Nathan's done, because I know he did a lot of that similar work for me when I was working on the beach project for the select board.
Great. Well, it should be an interesting meeting. We'll see.
Yep.
so hello to Rob as well.
Yeah. Greetings, Rob. Hey, a quick question for you about the assessments. With the real estate prices going up so fast, how quickly does that have an impact on the income to the town?
Not as quickly as people would like,
Yeah,
or as the town would like, I should say. It takes about a year.
right. Yeah.
Alan, I'm going to add to what Rob said. The conveyances have to happen and the deeds have to be registered before the new tax income can
Right.
even be assessed. So yeah, I understand why it could be months, if not even a year,
Mhm.
but it is going to go up.
And Rob, isn't there a 3-year cycle with respect to not everything goes up in all areas of the island at the same time.
Right.
No, it used to be that way. And right now it's a 5-year cycle, but because things are so rapidly changing, we have to do it every year.
Oh, wow.
Alan,
Yeah, Bill.
I noticed on the town calendar, Shellfish's meeting, are they using the same channel? They're scheduled for 5 o'clock. If that's the case, we get a hard stop.
Oh, really? Oh,
You know how we ran into it at 2 fairgrounds?
yeah,
Sharing the room there?
yeah, right. S- The latest I heard from Erica is that we're going to be meeting via Zoom at least for another month, if not longer.
Yeah, but Bill's question was different. He's concerned that we might be cut off at 5 o'clock because in fact, Shellfish might in fact have access to the same Zoom channel at that time.
Oh, really? Phyllis, do you know if that's the case?
I don't, but give me a few seconds, I'll check.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I always try to aim for a 5 o'clock stop, but we sometimes go over at the end. Okay, it's 4 o'clock and I'll call a meeting of the Roads and Right-of-Way Committee meeting to order for December 21st, 2020.
Yeah.
Oops. Great. So we are in session. I declare that there's a quorum present. And first item of business, public comment. Any public comment? Seeing none. Next item, approval of minutes. The minutes from November 16th were distributed about a month ago. And any errors, omissions?
I have one thing that is really just a nit, and I could deal with Lee separately. I don't think it bothers approving the minutes at all. It's just that it says Rick Atherton proposed a copy of the notification, go to the roads and right away. And actually Jeff Carlson was up and forward and he recommended that as a possibility. And I like the distinction.
Rick,
Yep.
Rick, this is Lee. I caught some of what you had to say. Are you looking for a change?
I think it's good to change because I think Jeff Carlson's advice was helpful. And it's in the first part, Lee, under chapter 91, second paragraph, 5 lines down, it says Rick Atherton proposed. And all I wanted to mention is really, when I met with Jeff, he proposed that as a good way to handle the notification issue. And I think it's nice to get him in the record here. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Okay, can you send me an email with that correction? But
Will do. Yep.
I'll be looking at the minutes as well, but it would be helpful. And then before we make a final copy, I'll fix that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be late on that, Lee, but I'll get it to you.
Okay.
Okay, great. Jeff, I invited Jeff to join us this afternoon for the meeting, and he was unsure, this was about a week ago, as far as his travel plans. So, but we do have Nathan here. And
Alan, this is Lee.
yes,
Subject to the slight editorial change, we do need a motion in a second.
great, thank you. Thank you. I skipped over that. So
I'd be happy to move approval.
okay, is there a second? Okay, Ed, second. All right, any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes from the 21st of November? Seeing none, all in favor?
Roll call, Alan.
Roll call, all right. Snooky,
Lowell, aye.
Aye, okay. Rob,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and Rick.
Aye.
Oh, good. Okay, those minutes are approved.
Alan, secretary votes aye, and the chair,
I'm sorry, let's say again.
the secretary votes aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't I call?
And you, Alan.
And for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and right. Okay, so we have a unanimous vote to approve those minutes. Ken Grant next. An update on the roads and sidewalks and any other projects.
Thank you. Just to give you an update, what I'm working on is the easements for the drainage for Lover's Lane. The work is going on redoing that, and part of the issue there is to be able to obtain the easements so that we solve the problems that have been there forever, it seems. The two easements that are most difficult and that I'm continuing to be working on are with respect to the Engelhard property and the Johnson property. As to the Engelhard property, that has all been agreed, but getting Arthur to be able to find the time to do the necessary documents has not been easy because of what's been going on in the real estate industry. I've started the discussions with Mrs. Johnson, and those look like they're going to be going on in a satisfactory manner. At the same time, I've been negotiating with the state relative to the bike or the walking path or the bike path through the state forest there. And we've had several meetings, including some on-site visits, and we have a draft of the agreement with the state that's in Vicky Marsh's office for approval to be able to get that straightened out and accepted. So that's moving along, and that's going to be really very attractive in terms of having that in place. With respect to sidewalks, if you've been following the select board, you'll see that the Libby Gibson has put in a request for the capital committee for a $40,000 for a survey with respect to addressing the sidewalks on Main Street. And hopefully if that is approved, it will be put out for bid to get some advice relative to approaching the issues that are being addressed there.
Ken, is that the one from the preservation group?
Well, the preservation group went to the CPC. The CPC did not fund the request for several reasons, but indicated that it really should be a town request, and the town is taking a look at it. They're not putting forward the preservation group's request, but the issues that were raised by the preservation group relative to how to address the issues with the sidewalk are what's going to be looked at by the town in terms of the expenditure of the $40,000 that's hopefully will be allocated at town meeting.
Gotcha. Good.
And then the other thing that I'm working on, I'm working with the land bank. Westchester Road, which goes once it goes past the animal hospital, goes down, and towards the end of it, it sort of fades into barely a walking path. There's been some activity going on with respect to neighbors relative to construction and some reseeding of the road, everything like that. We're beginning to address that. We are defining the width of the road. We found pretty good evidence that this qualifies as a 1799 road. And so we will then be doing a swap with the land bank to have them be responsible for maintaining the road, because they're wanting to build a number of trails through there and through all the land south of it that was bought from Billy Cassidy in that whole area down Wannacomet and Matticat Road. And we're going to be doing, Andrew and I are working on some roads that we will get from them, or land that we will get from them in terms of a swap. That's still in discussion, but it's, I think it's a really very positive way to address the access to it and the use of it for recreational use. And those are the things that were.
Ken, this is Lee.
Yeah.
The extension of Westchester over to Wannacomet Way was marked by this committee with stone monuments saying public way.
I know there is a public way. There's one that is sort of halfway where the road sort of dead ends, and then there's another one down at the end closer to Wannacomet. And what we're doing is what we're doing is we want to make sure that we have the correct definition of the width of the public way, because it sort of doesn't go in a straight line. And part of what we've been able to do is we've been able to identify some state official maps that with the technology that Allison, our new assistant here, has been able to figure out how to use. We're going to be able to overlay them in terms of being able to really have a clear definition that's already on the state records with respect to what it is. And Andrew just wants to make sure that when we do that, what we define, that in fact fits within what his records show.
No, that's all excellent. That's good news. Because when we went to put those monuments in, we checked very carefully, both with town GIS and with the separate survey. And we were aware that the road did not, that the existing path of the road did not actually coincide with the road layout in the survey. We put our monuments where we thought we would be on town land.
Now with that, that's hopefully that we will be able to confirm all that, because that's part of the next step with respect to putting this all together. So,
and just as a matter of interest, Harvey Young and I both drove that length, which is not something I would recommend today, because it's a lot wetter now than it was then.
it's not possible to drive it right now.
Yeah, it's thrown in. I used to mow that one to keep it clear. So Ken, we've always been under the assumption that that was a 1799 road all the way up to the cemetery. Is that in question or?
No, we believe that that's the case. But we just want to confirm that to make sure that there aren't any issues with respect to that. So.
Great, good. Well, that's definitely good news.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what I have to report that for this month.
Thank you.
good, okay. Any questions for Ken? Seeing none?
Just one quick question, Mr. Chairman, if I could. Ken, what's the layout of Lover's Lane? I know that's an 1890 county road or something, right?
No,
Like
I don't know the answer to that. The surveyors have done all of that, Nat. And so the layout is pretty clear. There's not an issue with respect to that. The problem has been getting the easements in order to be able to build the actual things in the ground for where the drainage can go. Because the problem that you've had is that the water had no place to go. And so the engineers.
So we're going to need to be outside the layout.
It is outside the layout of the road, and it's on private property. And that's the easements that I'm working at getting from the people to be able to utilize their property to be able to have the water drain into the ground on their property.
Great.
Perfect.
Okay, Ken.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the map project, Chapter 91, public access, and all that sort of thing. Phil and Nathan have been working for the last several months to refine this. Remember, the objective here is to see if we can develop a map with all the access points to the water, both the ocean, the harbor, and the ponds. And So I know Phil and Nathan have been meeting and working on this. Phil, do you want to fill us in where we are?
Yeah, I think as a result of last month's meeting, I volunteered to work with Nathan to put together a slide for the location of all the monuments that our committee was involved in installing. And there are 34 of these. And there is a document that's about 10 years old that identifies each of these locations, actually has pictures of people with shovels installing the marker. You know, it has the latitude, the longitude, you know, and all the details associated with that. And there are 34. And Nathan, I'm very happy to meet you via Zoom. We've been talking for months now, but anyhow, Nathan has been extremely helpful. I sent the document to Nathan. He said that was the first time, that's what he said. It was the first time he had seen it. And so he did not have a slide in his collection that reflected these locations. So like within a half an hour, he came right back to me with a slide with those locations. So I don't know whether we didn't prepare for a show and tell for this meeting, but I don't know, is that something, Alan, can you put that slide up for everybody to see, or I don't know how we do that.
Yeah, it's certainly beyond my capability.
But anyhow,
Phil, this is Lee. Where did Nathan send that slide to us?
he sent it to me and I forwarded it to Alan.
Because it's easy enough to share a screen, but I need to identify where it might be.
Let me.
It was built to
when I
you on
finish-
12/7, Lee. Just to confirm, it was emailed to Lee on December 7th, if that helps, Lee.
We'll find it.
Anyway, back to you, Alan, sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. All right.
So anyhow, the point is that at least now we have those monuments in the GIS system. Nathan now has them. And this is in addition to all the other slides that Nathan has that do the entire circumference of the island, showing all the access points that are for the police, for the fire department, for other purposes. And I think if you were to put all of these in a series of slides, there are a lot of dots. But I guess for at least we know what we have, the 34 that our committee has, and that's a starting point.
Okay, I think since that work was done, there were more takings. We have, I believe there are 6 monuments out in behind 2 Fairgrounds Road. And we have both we have those upright posts that say public way. 2 of them say public footpath. And then we have, I think, 4 or 5 flush monuments that we've used mainly along the bluff in Sconset. So anyway, I see on my map here, this is the town GIS map.
This is one I put together. This is the Chapter 91 parcels from that list that Lee and Rick had emailed me.
Right.
So those are all the parcels that have had work under the Chapter 91 provision done on them. I apologize. I part of the reason I got into GIS is I'm a little anal retentive. I realized that there's the title down in the lower right is incorrect. I'll get that fixed for you. But yeah, so these are all the parcels from that list that I was able to identify. There were a few on the list that I wasn't able to, just because the location given, the description given was so vague. It was mostly work around the harbor. It sounds like it was work on some pilings and some docks and things like that in the area, that I would need somebody a little more familiar with each of those projects just to sit with me for a little bit and help me create a shape in a slightly more specific area than just sort of highlighting, you know, along the wharves and things like that in general sense.
And Alan, this is Ken. I had been working with Nathan last year, and he put together, in fact, a terrific report that we were going to be using for our report to the select board, which hasn't happened yet, of all of the access to the beaches for all of the organizations, not only the town, but the conservation organizations, and out towards the across Cotu and what have you. So at some point in time, we're going to be able to put together a fairly amazing schedule of all of the beach locations, and then tie that into where the actual identified access points are, based on the work that's been going on after the original stuff that we got. Nathan helped me put together about a year ago.
Great, great. You know, the whole,
Alan, this is Lee.
yes, Lee.
Having put this up, I'll take it down at your request.
Lee, I just sent to you the, there are about 4 or 5 slides of the island. They're 4 or 5 because it shows a little bit more detail, the locations, but it's the 34 monuments. And so if you have the ability to open up your email, they're there.
Okay, I think
Maybe Alan could send those, could we all agree that those slides could be sent to the whole committee?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
great,
That would be great. Thank you, Phil.
good, good. All right, the as I said before, or earlier in the meeting, the purpose of this program was to identify the where these public access points are. And that came about because years ago, when this was early on in well, it is some years ago, a Roads and Right-of-Way Committee was approached about the issue of public access being lost. Old ways to the path had grown over. People had, neighbors had blocked them off and that sort of thing. So that was the genesis of this project. So as I say, since those 34 markers have been put in the ground, I believe there are additional ones, because Lee and I had a list. Once we ran out of manpower, basically, to put all those in, it was our committee literally who went out and put those monuments in the ground. And once we ran out of the manpower to do that, that's why we still have some left to go in the ground. So the next question is, Lee and I need to figure out where the remaining posts should go. For example, Woodbine Avenue goes from Massaquoi over to Nonantum, or is it Nonantum? Yeah, Nonantum. And there's a path that goes up there and then across over to the beach. And that's one place where we want to put a public footpath monument. There's one on Nonantum, a flush one in the ground, but we need to put it in upright. So I think once we get this map, Lee and I can go over it, take a look at where the locations are that are missing, and then develop a plan to work probably with the DPW to get those public way monuments in the ground where appropriate. Good. All right, so Phil
Hang
and
on, Alan,
Nathan,
I'm almost there.
I'm sorry, Lee.
Bingo. Phil sent me 5 maps. And this one was designated as markers. And as you can see, it's the eastern end of the island.
Right.
Where we put markers. Thank you, Phil. We will.
These are the 30, these are the 34 markers that our
Right.
committee installed.
Exactly.
And the reason why you only get pieces of the island is it was a lot easier to see the locations. If you did it all on one slide of the whole island, it would be very difficult to
Exactly. Exactly.
identify.
So I will ensure that these are saved into my file. But right now, this is one of 5 slides, and all credit to Phil for creating it.
Nathan.
You can share.
I was just the middleman.
Well, you know, however it gets done. I mean, that's why we have a group here to work on these.
Well, I'm gonna climb back on my hobby horse and say that this was 10 or 12 years ago, and I think this winter we as a committee should, whack it up among us and go and take, go and take pictures of what it is right now, because I'm willing to bet that some of these are very hard to see now because of overgrowth and everything else. And I think we should know what we have.
Good point. That's a great idea.
I don't think it's very difficult. It'd be kind of interesting. And I think we might be taken aback.
So Phil, I will say that the chart from which you worked this was transmitted to the DPW in those days. And Stephen, I hope you're listening, with the idea that the DPW would put them into their brush and clearance list from time to time, once or twice a year. Go find those markers and we'd whack around them so you could see them from your car.
Lee, can you make sure that I get a copy of those, please? It's Ken.
The chart is on the roads and right-of-way main page. But yes, Ken, I will do that.
Thank you.
Since that work was done, those 34, I thought there were 36, but I guess the 34 markers. Since that time, the town has taken the ways along Hubbard Avenue. And I know Phil was down there. Phil and I talked, and I went down and checked to see there are 2 of the flush monuments that I put in the ground, one at Johnson Street and I forget the other street. I think it was Henry Street. And those are now missing. So I think what we need to do is to use the upright ones. They can't be lifted out of the ground. Now those don't show up, I don't believe, on our map. Because that was subsequent to when we put in that initial batch of monuments. So I'm just trying to think of other areas that we've looked at and found. Yeah. Okay, so as far as the next steps for this project, Phil or Nathan, do you have any ideas as to the best way to proceed?
Well, I think we need, Alan, if you can go back into your records and dig out the other ones that were not in that original memo dated June of 2012 and come up and send around the other 5 or whatever you think exist. We can then, Nathan can add those to the slides, and then we can decide where we need to put in new vertical posts.
Great.
And
Good.
I think that's a piece of work that we should get done before the spring. Or
Yeah.
if the ground is not frozen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, this has been sort of a long range project, and, we've had some interruptions here. So,
So why don't we leave it, Alan, that you will get to me those 5 and I will be in touch with Nathan.
okay,
And in
great.
the meantime, I can send around to the entire committee, just so that you have everything in one place. I'll send around to the committee the 5 slides that Nathan sent to me. They're not that big a file. And I'll also send the document of June 2012 that talks about the 34 monuments.
Right.
And I'll copy you on that too, Ken,
Thank you.
just so that we're all on the same page.
Because Phil, in the last year, there are 2 of the takings that we did along Hulbert Avenue that went through the Real Estate Assessment Advisory Committee involved access to the water.
Yes. Indeed. I think of all those ways along Hobart Avenue, the only one that's still not clear is Johnson Street. That's the one that goes between the Lilly property and Blue Waters where the tennis court is.
That's correct. There's nothing there.
Yeah, there, and the problem there is there's a bulkhead. I mean, a concrete bulkhead, so there's no, and plus it's a driveway between the 2 properties.
It's clearly, it's clearly not intended for the public.
Yeah, I know, and that's been, I guess, the issue.
Alan, to be fair to the town and the property owners, I think that has been resolved.
The last,
Yeah, it was fairly recent that there was an agreement for an easement over the bulkhead. The temporary bulkhead that goes up against winter storms will be opened up in the summer. I'm pretty sure that was all worked out.
That is correct, Lee.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I recall that happening. So,
And there was a one big beach set off as well as part of the agreement, as I recall.
That's correct.
as far as which one?
There was a one big beach easement that was part of.
Oh, yes, exactly. It was part of that.
Yeah.
That was part of that. Yeah. So
That one took forever to do.
yeah, exactly. The interesting one is Dix Street. Dix Street is on the other side of, there's Charles Street, and then there's the house in between, and on the other side of the house, there's Dix Street, D-I-X Street, and it goes down the water. It sort of wraps around, and so I believe all of those have been taken now, particularly now that Johnson Street is finally resolved. So, okay, so that will be a project that I'll aim to have that project completed before, let's say by May. I'd like to, get the monuments in the ground. We'll figure out how to do that. And then we'll get the locations and so on to Nathan, and then we can add those to our public way map. Great. Okay, anything else? Anybody want to add to that? project. This is one of our signature projects. You know, this started out with the way down to the beach at Lincoln Circle. You know, that's
Yeah.
those stairs. That was our first major
Yep.
breakthrough. We got, you know, we resolved, or we didn't, but the town resolved that. Andrew resolved that. And once that was
There's a lot of
taken-
people involved, property owners.
Yeah, a lot of people were involved in that one. But that was the very first upright public way monument we put in the ground because of, you know, the story on that. So, okay, is there anything else on that item, the map project item?
If not, then I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and excuse myself.
Great, thank you very much, Ken. Thank you for your participation.
Ken from London, the interesting little difference is they wish each other happy Christmas here in England. And so since I'm now a transplant, Ken, thank you and happy Christmas to you.
Happy Merry Christmas, as we say in our family.
Indeed.
We're a hybrid.
Okay, all that we just discussed on item 4 is sort of rolls over into the next item, the locations and installing the public way monuments. So that's all part of that same project. So as I say, my goal, based on our conversation this afternoon, is that by May, we'll have the remaining public way monuments in the ground where they're supposed to be, and have a map, maybe. Great.
And an audit of the existing ones.
Oh, that's a good point. I usually make it a point to go around and check them when I'm out and about around on the island. But
I would submit we ought to have a picture, an updated picture.
yeah, no, exactly. To check, you know, make sure they're not overgrown. Irving Street, by the way, is one that's between Nonantum and Adams Street down there, down off of Surfside. Okay.
We do know that the uprights on the old railway grade were removed when the railway grade was rebuilt. We're talking about Goose Pond,
Exactly.
Washington Street Extension. I'm not sure that they need to be replaced, but it might be a good idea if we could figure out what the contractor did with them.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to know, because Neil Patterson has been very generous in donating those monuments. I mean, those monuments are pretty expensive if you want to buy one for your front yard. So Neil has donated those monuments over the years. So good. Okay. As far as the next item, number 6, the draft statement, Rick was in touch with Julian Sear, I believe, or maybe it was Dylan, and we're not ready to vote on anything in terms of supporting. We're in support of the concept of making the beaches, the let me back up. Chapter 91, which allows people to cross between the high and the low water line. That was the concept that Dylan and Julian Sear were trying to correct by adding the word recreation. And as Ken pointed out, I think 2 meetings ago, that set up some red flags as far as the legal department and so on. And so Rick had been in conversation with either Dylan or with Julian Sear. And so that's still a work in progress. we'll see where that goes. So there's nothing to report on that. Yes, Rick?
Yeah,
Rick?
just to confirm, I did talk to Dylan Fernandez, and I've also been in touch a couple of times with Charity Grace. And so I drafted one statement, and then I said, I think I need to revise this. So it'll be a work in progress, and we'll get something and share it with you, Alan, and see if that sort of gets close to what we want to say.
Okay, great, great. And of course, that's one of these long-range projects. We know that whenever you're dealing with the state, these things can take forever. So, okay, Rick, you want to add anything else on that item?
No, they did have a
Okay.
hearing, by the way, I think a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know the results of that, but we'll find out.
Okay, great. Okay, that brings us to old, new, and other business or member comments. Any new, old business? Any member comments? Yes, Bill. Bill first and then Snooki.
Yeah. So I see Stephen's on, and welcome, Stephen. Thank you for joining us. And this comment actually is for Stephen. As you wrap your arms around the tasks that the DPW has, I'd ask you to add on the Matticat Road, mile marker 3 to the mowing list. That marker sits back from the side of the road. It's actually very clear now since they've started to put some ground up asphalt in there where people pull over. But mile marker 3 historically is hidden in the bushes all the time that the greenery is out. The other mile markers 1 and 2 seem to be mowed and taken care of by the land bank when they're out there doing things. And mile marker number 5, I don't know, it looks like the homeowner might have adopted that because it's right at the edge of their driveway, and I think they use it for giving directions and finding their house. But number 3 is an orphan that's looking for maintenance. So I'd ask that that be put on the list.
Great.
Okay, I'll add that to our seasonal mowing list here.
Great, great.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Snooki? Oh, Snooki, you're muted. You have to unmute yourself. Snooki? Wait a minute, Snooki, you have to unmute on your computer. Down at the bottom left-hand corner, it says there's a little box that says mute, and you have a red thing on it. If you just click on that. Uh-oh.
Sign language.
Yeah, right. Sign language.
Alan, I tried to unmute him. Phyllis can unmute him.
I'm sorry. Oh, Phyllis. Phyllis, can you unmute Nelson?
Okay, now it's listed as Nelson.
Yeah.
Not Snooki. Yes, right.
Right. Phyllis, are you there?
Yes, it's now giving me the option to unmute him. I'm able to alert him.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Snooki?
It's okay, good to hear from you.
How were they coming on that encroachment list that I made for Sconset 2 years ago? Has anything at all been done to it?
I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, I'm not sure. Stephen, this goes back to the, this is over in Sconset. Yeah, there were a number of roads where you try to pull out onto either Sankaty Road or something like that. And that the sight lines had grown in. There were some privet. And what else, Snooky?
Well, the worst two is Sankaty Road and Clifton Street, Coffin Street and Shell Street. And on Shell, the one at Shell Street and Coffin Street, that bound was set by Mass Highway in the spring of 1952, because I was, as a kid, watched them do it.
Wow.
Highway engineers.
Yeah.
I'll have to, I know that we got a, maybe it came from you. We had a couple of years ago, we had an Excel spreadsheet list, I think, of encroachments, and we were reviewing that with Kevin Bogran. And once we got into the legal limits of those encroachments, we kind of got stuck because there was so much involved in just working out who's responsible for what and most of it. Plus, we had a manpower issue, so we so we had to deal with that as well. But so one positive is the majority, I believe, the majority of what you gave us on that list should still be in our work order system, because we translated, we took the ones that we thought were the worst offenders and put them in a work order system, even though we haven't addressed some of those yet, a great deal of them ensconced yet. And so as we're getting more and more manpower, we'll be definitely sticking to our tasks. So when we start to put in service to reduce encroachments that are on public land, we will be doing that full force for a period of days or even a week straight, instead of hopping from one thing to the other. Now, the legal stuff I'll have to work out with Ken, if it's with private property or if it's property that's in conflict, like we're trying to decide who has what.
Yeah.
Also, I did bring it to Libby's attention that some people are volunteering to maintain their own space. We're discussing that. We haven't made a decision quite yet on that, but I know a few people, they're more than willing to get their caretakers to maintain the space, but I'm not sure if there are any liabilities involved with the town or any type of legality. So I'm still working that out.
Great.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, anything else to come before the committee this afternoon? Seeing none, I declare we are at the end of our agenda and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for attending this afternoon, and have a nice Christmas or holiday. Enjoy the weekend. And I'm looking forward to getting back on Nantucket right after Christmas. And so, great. All right.
Thank you, Nathan and Stephen, for attending.
Let me echo Alan's wishes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Nathan.
Appreciate you guys being on. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
And Art, who was, I think, listening in.
Yes.
And to Nat, who tried to call me, when I explained that cell phone calls across the Atlantic are not free, they're about $2 a minute. And so I responded to him by email.
Gotta have that. That AT&T plan is cheap. Take care, Lee.
Extra cheap.
But I have not yet.
Great. Okay, thank you all. Have a good holiday, and I'll see you next month, if not before.
Next year, Alan.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Be well,
Bye-bye.
take care. Lee, say hello to England for us.